He left his wife to die, but years later his past comes back with a deadly secret. Now, the fate of the world hangs in the balance. Today I'll recap a 2007 horror sci-fi film, 28 weeks later, so keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. The movie starts during the outbreak of the rage virus in England. A man named Don and his wife Alice are hiding in a country house with 4 other survivors. They're relieved their 2 kids are safe on a school trip to Spain, far from the chaos. One day, they hear a knock at the door. A young boy begs for help, and they decide to let him in. Big mistake. The infected have tracked the boy, and soon they swarm the house. One by one, the survivors fall. In the chaos, Don makes a heartbreaking decision. He abandons Alice to save himself, running for his life as she's left behind. The guilt? Oh, it's gonna come back for him later. 28 weeks later, the infected have all starved to death. With the worst seemingly over, an American-led NATO force moves in, securing parts of London. They begin letting English citizens return home, those lucky enough to be abroad when the chaos started. This is when we meet Don and Alice's children, Tammy and Andy. They're brought into a heavily guarded green zone on the Isle of Dogs, a small peninsula in East London. It's the safest place around, with snipers watching from rooftops just in case the nightmare comes back. Leaving the green zone? That's a big no-no. Outside, soldiers are still cleaning up piles of rotting corpses. Don now manages one of the apartment buildings in the green zone. When Tammy and Andy ask what happened to their mother, he lies to protect them, saying he tried to save her, but there was no hope. But kids don't always follow the rules. Tammy and Andy sneak out of the zone, heading back to their old house to grab some things that remind them of home. Inside the attic, they make a chilling discovery: Alice, alive but delirious. The soldiers bring Alice back to the green zone, where an army doctor named Scarlett examines her. She finds a shocking secret. Alice has the rage virus in her blood, but she's immune to its effects. Unfortunately, there's a terrifying catch. Alice is a carrier, which means her saliva or blood could spread the infection to others. The leader of the operation, Commander Stone, isn't interested in risks. He orders Alice to be executed, even though she might hold the key to curing the virus. Meanwhile, Don is drowning in guilt. Tammy and Andy's bitter words about how he abandoned their mother haunt him. Desperate to make peace, he sneaks into Alice's room to see her one last time. She forgives him, telling him she still loves him. They share a tender kiss, but that's when the horror begins. Don becomes infected instantly. The virus consumes him, twisting him into a mindless monster. He brutally kills Alice, crushing her skull in a fit of rage. Now an unstoppable force of destruction, Don escapes into the green zone, spreading chaos as he attacks soldiers and infects anyone in his path. Scarlett realizes that Andy might share his mom's strange immunity, giving him a chance to resist the virus. Knowing he could be the key to survival, she springs into action, rescuing Tammy and Andy. Meanwhile, the army scrambles to control the outbreak. They pack the green zone residents into safe rooms like sardines, trying to contain the infection. But here's the twist. Don, now a full-blown rage-fueled monster, is hiding among the crowd. When he attacks, the virus spreads like wildfire. Andy gets separated from Tammy and Scarlett. He barely escapes by squeezing through an air vent as chaos erupts around him. Outside, fear and fury take over the streets. The infected charge through the green zone, and the soldiers get desperate. The brutal order comes in: kill everyone, infected or not. Scarlett and Tammy find Andy just in time, ducking into a storehouse with a handful of survivors. Among them is a sniper named Doyle, who abandoned his deadly orders after refusing to kill Andy. He knows a harsh truth: staying in the city means certain death. The army won't spare anyone. Their only hope now is to escape before it's too late. Doyle takes charge, guiding the survivors through the eerie streets of London. They stick to the shadows, unaware that Don, the walking nightmare himself, is hunting them. Doyle contacts his friend Flynn, a daring helicopter pilot. Flynn gives a grim warning: get out of the green zone fast. The area is about to be wiped out with firebombs to stop the infection from spreading any further. The clock is ticking. The group races into a narrow pedestrian tunnel beneath the river. Flames roar through the city above, turning everything to ash. They barely make it out alive as the firestorm devours everything in its path. But the horror isn't over. While most of the infected are burned to cinders, about 50 of them survive the inferno. Driven by pure rage, they smash through the perimeter and pour into the heart of London, setting the stage for even more carnage. Doyle and his group finally reach a park, grabbing a much-needed moment to catch their breath. But there's no time for peace. Scarlett reminds Doyle that Tammy and Andy aren't just kids. Their unique immunity might be the key to curing the rage virus. Saving them matters more than anything, even more than their own lives. Flynn radios Doyle, telling him to wait for a helicopter pickup at Regent's Park. Relief seems so close, but when Flynn arrives, there's a problem. He's only willing to take Doyle and leave everyone else behind. Before Doyle can argue, the infected show up, surging like a wave of madness. Flynn makes a bold move. He flies straight into the horde, using the helicopter's blades to mow them down in a brutal, gory sweep. With Flynn unable to take them all, Doyle and Scarlett lead Tammy and Andy deeper into the city. Their final hope lies at Wembley Stadium, where Flynn promises to meet them again. If they can make it there, he'll fly them to safety across the English Channel. The group moves through the chaos, dodging the infected while soldiers sweep the streets with poison gas and flames. Scarlett and Doyle know the terrible truth: anyone outside is a target. The army won't ask questions. To them, infected and uninfected alike are all walking corpses. With no time to spare, Scarlett, Tammy, and Andy hop into a car. Scarlett works the clutch as Doyle pushes with all his strength. The engine roars to life and they speed off, but escape comes at a deadly price. Doyle is incinerated by a wall of fire as soldiers close in. Determined to stay alive, Scarlett weaves through the city, avoiding helicopters, and drives into an underground subway station. Their new plan? Follow the train tracks to Wembley Stadium. It's a straight shot to their last chance at freedom. Pitch darkness swallows them. Scarlett uses the night vision scope from Doyle's rifle to see. Step by careful step, they creep forward until disaster strikes. Tammy and Andy trip over rotting corpses on an escalator. In the confusion, they get separated. Scarlett and Tammy search frantically for Andy, but their worst fear finds them first. Don appears like a living nightmare. He attacks Scarlett, beating her savagely with Doyle's rifle. Her body falls limp as the monster she once loved snuffs out her life. Don isn't done. He chases down Andy, tackles him, and bites into him with savage fury. But just when all seems lost, Tammy finds her courage. She shoots Don, ending his rampage forever. Andy, like his mother, proves immune, but he's drenched in infected blood. Still, they push on. At Wembley, Flynn waits. He raises his weapon but can't bring himself to kill 2 children. Instead, he flies them across the English Channel, far from the horrors of Britain. No one alive knows the dangerous truth about Andy. He's immune to the rage virus, but he carries it within him, a silent threat that could unleash chaos all over again. For 28 long weeks, the virus had been trapped, contained by the natural barrier of the British Isles. But now, with Andy off the island, the infection has crossed the borders, free to spread far beyond its original prison. 28 days later, we see Flynn's helicopter, now a twisted wreck, lying in the wreckage. The radio crackles, picking up a distress signal from a man with a French accent. His voice is full of panic, warning of something terrible. But before we can process it, a new horror unfolds. A crowd of infected pours out of a subway tunnel like a dark wave of chaos. They flood into the daylight, their eyes wild with rage. And where do they head? Straight for the Eiffel Tower, the symbol of Paris itself. It seems the nightmare is far from over. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Produced by Warner Movie Recaps.